Okay, so welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you to our Trent University Virtual Winter Open House. We're excited for you to come to our Policing and Community Wellbeing session. So if you're joining us or watching this at a later date and you're interested in that program, you're totally at the right spot. My name is Ryan and I'll be the moderator of this session. I'm currently working as an enrollment advisor at the Durham GTA campus, which is the campus you'll actually be attending if you're thinking of this program. With me today, I have a lovely group of panelists. I have Professor Amy Spendek and Jason and Alex, who are both students as well. And they're going to get to talk and share different experiential learning and different questions later as well. So we're excited for the path you have ahead of you and look forward to sharing all the reasons why Trent University has been ranked the #1 undergrad university in Ontario for 11 consecutive years. During this session, you can ask questions in our chat box, and you'll find that right at the bottom right of your screen. It's also being monitored, so we have a little time at the end of our session for questions if there's any, and if they're not, that means we're just doing an awesome job and hopefully answering any questions you have. But if you're watching this again at a later date and you do have questions, we're going to provide some contacts for you too, as well, where you can send your questions. This presentation is offered in closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, just select show subtitles at the bottom right hand of your screen as well. And during our session today, we're going to be focusing on questions that really focus on policing and community well-being. So if you have questions that regard anything with emissions or anything like that, we can do our best to answer those, but there's a lot of resources you have available to you as well. So we have different live chats happening today as well that you can join and ask any questions. And then on our open house website, you can actually go to the chat box right there and type your questions in there as well. With that, let's get started with our presentation. And I want to get started with introducing ourselves. So I'll pass it on to Professor Amy Spendek to just introduce herself and maybe give a brief overview of our program as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Amy Spendek. I am the program coordinator for Policing and Community Wellbeing. And, PLCW is a very unique interdisciplinary program. We do some really cool things here, and we're really focusing and looking at skill building and those really important areas of the social determinants of health and ways in which we can actually deal with community problems. And so PLCW is a great place for anyone interested in policing, obviously, but also for those human and social services. And I'll get into a little bit more detail about that later this morning, but I'll just leave it for that for now. You're in the right place.
Awesome. I'm excited. And I'll just pass it on to you, Jason, if you just want to share what year you're in and yeah, any fun facts, I guess, or anything you're liking about the program right now.
My name is Jason Stevens. I am a third-year PLCW student. Thoroughly enjoying the course. I am actually a mature student as well, so it's been a different experience for me. I think I'm the oldest one in our program, so it's definitely been a learning experience. But it's been a great program, lots of chances to learn, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable, and I can't wait to continue on.
That sounds awesome, Jason. And oldest just means wisest, so.
Not always.
Or maybe the opposite. Well, I know. And then I'll pass it on to you, Alex, to introduce yourself next.
Yeah, so I'm Alex. I'm also a third-year PLCW student. My end goal right now is to become a police officer, but as Jason mentioned, there is a wide variety of people in different kind of end goals. So it's kind of neat to collaborate with different people that aren't necessarily just going into policing. There's different people going into different social services. So that's probably my favorite part of the program, is just to connect with people going into different fields.
That's true. And I'm so happy we have you two students as well, because I don't want to spoil anything, but you definitely have unique experiential opportunities or experiential learning opportunities that we'll get into a bit later as well. But with that, how today's going to work is we're going to ask a couple of questions to our panelists here, and they're going to answer them and just give you a brief overview of any questions you might have, and it might help with questions that come up while you're thinking about the program as well. So the first question I'll pass to you, Amy. What degree options do students have in policing and community well-being? Are there opportunities for college students to transfer into policing and community well-being as well?
Absolutely. So PLCW, starting in September, I'm very excited to announce we'll have 2 different degree options. We have the honors program, which Jason and Alex are part of, but we will also have a general program for students who want to experience PLCW, but who want a shorter degree option. And so part of that is typically for those transfer students who are coming in. And we have developed a number of transfer agreements with the local colleges to come directly into PLCW. And so for those of you who are in those programs, you connect with the transfer people here at Trent, and they'll let you know what or if any transfer credits are available to you. Usually they're first year credits that you get. And then, you come into the program at that front. So we are expanding our degree options. I'm very excited about what's coming in the fall. But certainly our honors program is our flagship program. It is the most robust program, and it is the program where you have opportunities to do placement if you choose in year 4 and or a major research paper. Those two options are not available in the general program.
Awesome. And something just to touch on with that too, as Jason mentioned, he's a mature student, and with transfer students too, I've heard a lot of interest from students who are mature students or transfer students saying, well, I just heard about this program. Is it too late for me to go? Or I'm taking another program. And yeah, as you can see, Amy's saying, absolutely not. Come to our program.
It's never too late. I was a mature student when I went into graduate studies. And so I understand what that experience is like, but there's nothing more valuable than life experience when you come back to university, because that perspective puts all the other things in perspective, right? And so we value mature students for their life experience, and that is key. And so do not ever hesitate to think that you're too old to learn. No one's too old to learn. Come on down.
Yeah, exactly. Or since this is such a unique program that we'll get into a little bit later too, sometimes other students are studying different degrees or different options, or in the college stream as well. And they go, well, you know what, this sounds so unique, and it's something I've been looking for. Totally check it out, and something you can transfer into as well, which is amazing. With that, I'll get into our next question. What types of courses will students be taking in policing and community wellbeing program?
Well, our students start their program with quite a diverse types of courses that they take. We have a foundational year, right? And so coming in September, we will have 2 first-year courses that look at issues related to traditional policing, and then how do we transform policing into something that is more community focused and community receptive. And so in year 1, we have 2 required courses for our program, but students also take courses in sociology and Indigenous studies, child and youth studies, forensics, right? So this is a time for you to explore all the different options that you have available to you. In year 2, we now start focusing on more intensive, less general courses. And so in year 2, this is where we set the stakes for understanding the social determinants of health and how that relates to victimization and criminality. And then we move on to looking at issues with restorative justice and community problem solving. So in year 2, we start looking at what is a problem, how do we solve that problem, and who should we be talking to? In year 3, this is where we get even more breadth. So the students take courses on violence in the community, mental health and addictions, community consultation, diversity and exclusion. Our diversity and exclusion component is actually going to be in year 2 starting in September. So that's a little preview of some changes that are happening, but that's a good change. Don't have to worry about that. And so year 3, we get in more depth of the different aspects that are going on with the program. This is also the first time in year 3 that our students actually work closely with community partners. And that becomes really important. And we'll talk about that, what that looks like in our experiential section in just a moment. And in year 4, this is really an opportunity for students to broaden their expansive understandings. They can take placement if they wish. Of course, placements are very competitive and not always easy to gain, but we have other options. And I'm very excited to introduce courses on prisons and punishment, policing drugs and drug users, vicarious trauma, and medicalization of deviants into our 4th year next year. So every year we're developing new courses. We have another one. I can't quite reveal it yet. We just submitted a proposal, which is very exciting. So hopefully at the open house in coming up soon, we'll be able to share that. But each year we have new courses, and so stay tuned because good things are coming.
Exactly. I'm always excited when you tell me about a new course you have planned, or tell me the details, and it sounds amazing what you have coming too as well. And then just to add on to that too, I know you're touching on it a bit, but for someone who's listening to Policing and Community Wellbeing and wondering about the program, I know a question we get from a lot of students is, if I enter the program, do I have to become a police officer? And maybe you want to touch on that too.
The answer is absolutely no. Our cohort is pretty evenly split between people who are interested in policing and people who are interested in human social service related careers. And so what we do is we focus on all of the fundamental skills that you would need to work in either field, right? You need to know how to collaborate with others. You need to understand and work with diverse communities. You need to understand the importance of mental health and addictions and diversity and exclusion. And all of those things are important for each career path. So what we do is really focus on the fundamental skills. We're not training our students to be police officers. This is not a police foundations program, right? Police foundations program look at more of the traditional policing tactics. We do not require our students to do fitness training. We don't require them to learn use of force tactics. That's not what we do. We do the skill building stuff that's really necessary for people who want to be officers or for people who want to work in the social services. How do you work with diverse communities? How do you collaborate with those communities? How do you identify problems and actually solve them? That's what employers want. They want people who have really strong problem-solving skills, and that's what we do here.
Awesome. And I think that leads into my favorite question, and it's going to involve both our students here as well. But can you tell us about the experiential learning opportunities within Policing and Community Wellbeing program? How do students take advantage of these opportunities?
Awesome. Yeah, so we incorporate experiential learning into pretty much every PLCW course in one way or another. But really starting in year 2, this is where students work collaboratively in groups to solve an actual community problem. So in that class, they're divided into priority communities in the Durham region. They research what's going on in that community, what are the social determinants of health, the issues in that community, and then they come up with a solution to a particular safety or well-being problem. So that's in year 2. In year 3, this is where we take that community, that problem-solving base that they got in year 2, and we work directly with our regional partners. And so this year, I am so excited because our students are working directly with the region of Durham and Durham Regional Police to develop strategies to handle and tackle human trafficking. And it is such an exciting opportunity. Both Alex and Jason are in that class. So I'll turn it over to them to see if they want to add anything else to that experience in a second. In year 4, well, students can go out and get job training, a job placement. These are not paid, right? So you're not going to go get a job, but placement is an important opportunity. But you know what? We want our students to be competitive in the job market. And I think we're doing a pretty decent job to make that happen. So I'll turn it over to Jason and Alex. Maybe they want to talk a little bit about that human trafficking class.
Yeah, maybe we'll start with you, Jason, and Alex, you can go after as well.
Yeah, the PLCW, it's the 3007 class. It's solving complex community problems, and it's given us an opportunity to work on the problem of human trafficking in the Durham region. And we have a great opportunity to collaborate with the police, with the region of Durham, but also Dr. Spendick encourages us to reach out to other community members, to other stakeholders, to actually engage them as well and get as much information and get as much endorsement for what we're doing moving forward. So it's been a great opportunity. It's not just looking at the theory side of things, it's also getting out and getting your hands dirty, getting out there and getting that experience.
Awesome. And maybe Alex, you want to share next?
Yeah, just to add on to kind of Jason's thoughts there, just building those community relationships are so helpful even for placement and future career opportunities. Like forming those working relationships with our community partners is so important, like moving forward and thinking about graduation and thinking about a future career. The relationships we form now will definitely be helpful once we do graduate.
And that's the goal. That's what we do, right? That's what I want our students to have, that readiness to get out in the field, have the skills and the networks, because we all know that it's often not what you know, but who you know or how you know, right? And so we facilitate that within the program.
Awesome. And clearly it's working very well, as I don't want to give too many spoilers here, but Alex actually had she was talking about how she had an interview not too long ago, and which is just a direct kind of connection with the policing community wellbeing program as well, which is really awesome to hear as well. Okay, are there specific opportunities for students to get involved with extracurricular activities with PLC? Can you give us some examples of things you have done in the past maybe with PLC? I know there's been a couple we've been working on, things like that, but
yeah, so PLCW has a community engagement group. We call it the CARE Initiative. And this is a student-led initiative where we try and do community-based activities to give back to the community, right? To support those who are less fortunate than we are. And so this year we just capped off a really successful initiative. So our students developed a clothing drive. So we collected winter adult clothing for winter seasons within the region. And I am so proud of the work we did. We collected about 1,800 pieces of clothing that we were able to donate to Backdoor Mission as part of our initiatives, right? So these are the kind of things I work directly with the group. We meet outside of classroom time. We create new initiatives. The next one coming up is coming next week for International Women's Day. And we worked in collaboration with Child and Youth Studies to have a celebration of women in our community. And so one of our community partners who has worked really well in our human trafficking class is actually coming to campus to talk about her experience working in the field and as a woman working in an area on gender-based violence. And so we do these kind of activities, and we're going to do more social events now that COVID is protocols are easing. We can do a little bit more, but I encourage students to get involved, participate, volunteer. Right? If you're going into policing or you're going into those human social services, they want to see that you have a connection to the community and you can articulate your connection to the community. And so we facilitate that through our community engagement group.
Yeah, it's totally evident in the program too. I know mentioning the clothes drive, for example, I actually got to see the clothes that policing community wellbeing all collected, and there's bags and bags and bags and bags, and it just kept going. And I said, oh, well, that's a lot of clothes. And then they were like, that's not it. There's actually more way in the back too. So it was just amazing to see all those clothes. And yeah, such a great opportunity as well. And one thing me and Amy got to do last semester too is we did a policing expo, which has made more connections. And as Amy mentioned, it's really big with this program to make connections in our Durham region and expand on that as well. Okay, so one thing I want to do too is pass it on to both of our students here. So I'll go to you first, Jason, and maybe you want to talk about the classes you took, or I know we touched on experiential learning opportunities a bit, but what do you love most about the PLCW program?
Well, the experiential learning is probably, I mean, the most important and most fun part of PLCW. But I would say what strikes me as the most important aspect of the PLCW program is Dr. Spendick and the access to Dr. Spendick. Excuse me. It's the only program I know of where there's such an open door policy, including emails, where Dr. Spendick gets back to you right away. He's not afraid to meet with you after hours or on weekends to solve problems. And that's the whole purpose of this program, is problem solving. And it's the encouragement and help that Dr. Spendick provides to us is what keeps us driving forward, I think, with this program.
It's truly too, and that touches on something I like to talk about a lot in these sessions. Is a lot of students are often nervous making the transition to university. Will my professors get to know me? Do they really care if I pass? And we can say from this session right here and all the sessions you joined today that your professors really do want you to succeed. And Amy's a great example of it, as well as a connection you have made with her, Jason, and then a lot of our students. And it just reaches you out to more connections within our campus, which is great too. So I'll pass it on to you, Alex, to go next.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jason about the Dr. Spendick. Even like during lectures and stuff, she always encourages us to challenge her. So maybe she's teaching a lecture and she thinks this way and I don't think that way. I'm not afraid to put my hand up and say, hey, maybe I don't agree with everything you're saying. I think this way. And she's always had that open dialogue with her students. So that is really helpful. Once, even in our upper year courses, our upper year 3007 course is only 8 students. So I feel like we're close enough to have those conversations, and that's where you really get to learn everyone else's perspective. And just because we don't necessarily agree on everything doesn't mean someone's right or wrong. It's just that's a huge learning opportunity, is when you can actually have those intimate conversations with your peers and with Dr. Spendick as well.
Awesome.
I absolutely love it when students have diverse opinions than mine, right? I don't always like to hear the echo of my own voice in the room. So when students have something that they want to contribute, oh, that makes my day, right? And I'm pretty good at debating, and I may or not agree with everything they say, but you know what? I respect their opinion because their points of view are valid. And we allow that in our courses, and in all of them, but particularly in mine, I love it. It's important.
It's totally true. And then maybe with that, Alex, if you want to touch on, and then Jason, I know we touched on it a bit, we can go into it after too, what you're currently working with in your third year class with experiential learning, because I think it's such a cool project. And I know we've been talking about a lot, but it might be really nice for viewers to hear about it too.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm working with a colleague in our 3007 class, and we are working to track and map human trafficking within Durham region. So we're working closely with Durham Regional Police to add to one of their existing mapping tools that the police use right now to track where crimes are happening in the region. So we're looking to add a human trafficking component for the public to interactively report if they might suspect they're seeing human trafficking in their community, and have them educated on indicators to look out for, just to give the police a better sense of what's happening inside a community, because the police are great outsiders, but they don't actually know what's happening inside a community better than people that are actually living in those communities. So those community partners have such a huge voice. So this just facilitates a relationship with the police, with members of the community that know what's happening. So it's really exciting.
Really exciting. And it's, again, I can listen to you both talk about for hours. And maybe Jason, you want to touch on your side of the project as well, and what you've been working with.
Yeah, our side of the project, my partner and I, we're a little bit different than Alex, but we're looking at mandating and developing and mandating training for hotels and motel industry in, well, ultimate goal would be Canada-wide, but right now looking at piloting a program in the Durham region where we can target hotels that are known hotspots for human trafficking and implement training programs to help identify and also standardize reporting to help eliminate the opportunities, or at least reduce the opportunities for human trafficking to occur in hotels. That's
so amazing that you're both working on that. And a really cool thing about this class too that Amy was describing to me as well is the topic's not always the same every year. So Amy, I don't know if you want to touch on some of the past topics or
well, this is the first run of this program because we're so young. Unfortunately, Jason and Alex often become the guinea pigs of the new courses that come through. But each year, this course is designed to have a different topic. That being said, our community partners are really interested in us perhaps continuing on with leaving it as human trafficking for now. Which I am thrilled with. This is a problem that is not going to go away. It is only getting worse. And each year, different groups are going to have different ideas on what to do with it. So every year, the topic might change. But if it stays at human trafficking for a while, I'm okay with that too. And I think our students have really enjoyed it. It is a very different topic than we've talked about in many of the other PLCW courses. It might be touched on here or there. But it's such an immersive opportunity that regardless what the topic is, the structure of the course is going to stay the same. And the partners might change, but the overall purpose and design of it isn't going to change all that much. So look forward to that if you're coming in. That's in year 3.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
With that too, I'll pass the next question on to you, Alex. What advice would you give incoming students who are thinking about taking the policing community wellbeing program?
Yeah, and I definitely, my favorite part about the whole program was the first year, because first year you're kind of navigating, what do I want to do? Maybe you haven't declared your major yet. Maybe you're going to change your major 5 times. I've done that before. So definitely first year, just testing the waters and taking a couple PLCW courses, but if you're interested in other opportunities, definitely do that as well. The one thing I can say is this program has definitely boosted my confidence a lot more in communicating with these community partners. So going out into the community, you might be hesitant to collaborate with the police or talk to victim services or talk to different partners with Ontario Works. But just having like the intimate relationship that we have within our class makes those relationships a lot easier. So I would just say open-minded, and if you're fearful or hesitant about communicating with those partners, I would definitely do that.
Amazing. And then Jason, what would you add on top of that?
I would say come prepared to problem solve. It's probably the best for any course in university, but especially the PLCW program. Be ready to problem solve, and don't be afraid to think outside the box. And that's the whole point of this program, and especially the 3007 courses. The guidance we received was, here's the problem, figure out how we can solve it, and be as creative as you possibly can be. And that's been great. We're allowed to be creative. We're allowed to think outside the box, and we're definitely encouraged to engage and discuss amongst the class. So be prepared to talk, be prepared to share, be prepared to collaborate, because it's very important, but it will teach you those essential skills for moving forward into the employment world after.
Right. It's always interesting passing one of Amy's classes during the day because I hear so much discussion going on. I think that's great advice for first year students. It sounds like everyone's getting a little piece of the pie and sharing their input as well, which is amazing. And I think that's great advice for anyone coming in. With that, we're kind of approaching the end of our time here, but I have one more question for you, Amy. If anyone wants to get in contact or have questions about the Policing and Community Wellbeing Program, where should they go or who should they contact?
Well, don't hesitate at any time to send me an email. You can reach us at policing@trentu.ca. I monitor that box as well as our academic assistant, Cassandra. But don't hesitate to send me an email. I meet with prospective students all the time. I'm happy to meet with you on Zoom if you have questions, or I'll meet with you in person now that we can meet with you in person. Of course, if you're coming onto campus, there are rules and regulations still in place thanks to COVID, but we can work around that. But don't sit in isolation. That's one thing I tell our students. Do not sit in isolation. Come ask. And there is no such thing as a stupid question, because if you have a question and it's something that's not clear, right? And so that's our job to clean that up. And I love talking to people, as you probably can tell. I don't have a problem speaking. Probably in class, the students are like, oh my God, Amy, please shut up. But it's okay. You know, it is what I do. But do come talk to me. Send me an email. I'll meet with you. But you know what? The due date for accepting your applications is coming soon in June 1st. Accept your offers, right? Get in here, get your spot covered so that you have a seat at the table, and join us, because the next 4 years is going to be a ride, and I want you to be a part of it.
Awesome. And then maybe, Amy, if you could pop your email in the chat and then also say it aloud for anyone who's thinking or watching it later in a recording, they can email you as well.
For sure. Our email is policing@trentu.ca.
Nice. And then
I'll put that in the chat for you.
Perfect. The other emails I put in the chat for anyone listening as well is our Discover Trent at trentu.ca or our Discover Trent Durham at trentu.ca as well. So again, the Policing and Community Wellbeing Program is at our Durham GTA campus. So that's one email you can write for any general questions you have regarding that, and that's monitored as well. So it looks like we're approaching the end of our presentation. I really want to take a moment to thank our panelists for being with us today. So Alex, Jason, and Amy, I can really feel the love for the Policing and Community Wellbeing Program off you guys. And it's just amazing to have you guys speak on it. And it really makes me excited for the program as well and what's to come for the program in the future. For anyone in the session, if there's anything you want to go over or watch again later, our session has been recorded. It'll be posted to our open house webpage for you to review later on if you want to check that out. And I want to invite you to join us and visit us in person on campus, as Amy was mentioning. So we are hosting in-person tours, and we have an in-person open house event happening later in April, so April 30th for the Durham GTA campus. You can register for those events as well. And we have lots of tours happening during March break. So if you want to come see the campus for yourself, which I think is a great idea, especially if you're thinking of coming to Trent University, you can check those out and book a tour today. So there's lots of different great sessions happening today, and we hope that you get to join all the ones you want to. Again, we have those live chats I mentioned and the general chat box right on our open house website that you can ask any admission questions or any questions you have as well. So thank you again for my panelists who are joining me, and have a great rest of an open house.